Thank you everybody for being here today. Good morning. This is our last breakfast for the ADLabs pop-up. We've been running a 1-month activation in San Francisco featuring women's health, longevity, and fertility. And I'm very excited as our last feature company, Ovul AI, we're going to be talking all about fertility today. I have the two co-founders of Ovul AI with me. They're going to introduce yourself, and then we're going to learn all about how this technology works, how the research that happened came to become this product, and how it can help women in their fertility journey. Kate, we're going to start with you if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here, and I'm Kate. I'm CMO and co-founder of Ovul, I have quite big experience in business. I'm an entrepreneur, and I had a few businesses before, and now I just moved to the US 1.5 years ago, and I met my co-founders, and we started to do this amazing product for every woman. And we are going to make the women's life easier and the body more understandable for every woman.
Thanks, Kate. Serhi?
Yes, hello everybody. Very nice to meet you. I'm a co-founder, inventor, and the CEO of Ovul. And all my life I'm about the healthcare and diagnostics. So I was like, whole my life journey was getting me somewhere into my own company and something that will help people understand what's going on with their body.
So before we get into what Ovul AI does, tell us about how your experience in diagnostics has helped you to come to this product.
So I have a lot of stories, and they like if I will be very long, so just stop me or ask some questions. When I was a graduate on the bachelor course of the university, I started to be a service engineer in one of the Siemens Healthineers, which is one of the top diagnostics companies, position. And I was from the bench basically of the university. I was doing some stuff around the diagnostics. And that position was a combined one when I was changing the spare parts basically, and also telling people and telling to diagnostics laboratories and to the doctors how everything is working. It's like an application stuff. And I was doing like everything, like biochemistry, immunology, the microbiology, like basically all the lines I was covering within the team. And then somewhere 5 and maybe 6 years ago, I started to be the country business lead of Siemens Healthineers in Ukraine, and I was driving the whole diagnostics business.
But you use Imagen?
No, I use the in vitro, only in vitro. So
okay.
I don't use Imagen, like very little. I always about the in vitro diagnostics. So that's why I know how the testing and how the diagnostics should look like in the real world.
Can you tell everyone in vitro diagnostics is?
Yeah, in vitro, so there are two differences. In vivo and in vitro, it comes from some Roman times. It goes in the body or outside the body. And if in vitro, it goes with everything that is already outside of your body. Same as like blood or saliva that we do or any other diagnostics.
So it's in like the dish in vitro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in vivo is in the actual.
When you're
yes.
I would say when you're still alive, but yes.
Well, gotta make, because sometimes when you're in the research world and in technology, you take for granted knowing those terms, and then you say in vivo, in vitro, and people are like, what do they mean?
Thank you so much.
But you were doing all the in vitro diagnostics in Siemens for all of it. And from that, how did the idea of Ovul AI come?
So we started to conceive with my wife, with my third kid. And before that moment, I was not aware so much about the fertility diagnostics, about the ovulation testing. I was like lucky enough not to know it in so many details. But when we started with the third kid, I was like 35, I think, or something. And appeared that you need to track the ovulation, that you need to track the fertility period, that you need to be very on time or precise. And we went on the market, and I found myself like helping to test my wife with the urine sticks, putting it inside, then you need to dry it up, then you need to wait for the result, then you need to understand is it 1 line or 1.5 lines or how it working. And I still have 2 other kids that are running around, and you need to find some specific place where you store this, and like everything is like so chaotic and like a mess that we came up with this solution. This is now the fertility testing looks like this. You open the device, you put a drop of saliva on the bottom part, you close it, and in 42 minutes we are able to tell you, are you fertile or not? Are you ovulating or not?
That's amazing. I think one question that people want to know is how are you able to tell them this?
It's a magic, but very interesting. So the method is on the market for since 1945. It's been known that the saliva or mucous fluid dries up, and if the estrogen levels are high, the specific patterns are formed with this dried saliva, like snaps, fills. And it very looks like the same as a fern flower. And the method is called ferning. Basically, when saliva dries up and you see the crystals that are like that, like a fractals or like a fern flower, and the more crystals, the more you're closer to the ovulation. You can do this test at home, and there are many manual microscopes already on the market when you just put your saliva and then you test with your own eye and trying to find these patterns which are formed.
So it's like a microscope that you are providing for people at home.
Yeah, sure. So this is like a digital microscope, which now makes a high resolution photo of your dried saliva, then sends it to the cloud. And what we did very specifically with Ovul, so we trained AI to help you to recognize those patterns. It means that now you're taking out the guesstimate. You don't need to teach yourself what kind of patterns are you looking for. Is it not or yes or what's going on? So that really influenced the accuracy. Now we take it out from the equation and now you're more or less sure what's going on.
Well, that's, I think it's really cool. In San Francisco, everything is AI. Every day, every month, every week, all about AI. And obviously it's sort of about ML, large language models, LLMs, and everything else, but it's super important to highlight how AI can also be used for fertility optimization, because basically what you're doing is sending the information to a trained model to recognize the pattern and be able to then a woman that in an app say, oh, okay, it's the right time, rather than this stick with all the little things that women have had to do for a long time, which can get very tricky.
I can say we started with that because the method is known and we know that we can find fertility. I really remember the date when we tested the first time. I used my kids microscope, which is like a simple microscope, like in my child's room, and my wife put a drop of saliva and appeared crystals appeared from the first time we use it, and we say, wow, so this is so simple. We can do like this, and that's all, and basically yes, and that was the starting point. But now what's interesting about Ovul and about what we are doing, so the more photos we are taking, the more data we have, and the more precise at least the fertility part. But what we see next, which is I'm very thankful that Kate joined us, because we started with my own personal things, and then we see that this is something like only an entry point. We can see and track a lot of other different correlations, which we are now trying to implement and trying to enhance the method. We see that we can see the difference between the crystals. So we see like a lot of crystals, not too much crystals, 2 crystals, and all this corresponds to the specific levels of the hormones, which is we are now trying to put inside our model by just gathering more and more data, not changing the hardware part at all, but working with more users, like getting the reviews, understanding what's going on with the trials. We see that we can just put some more stuff which can help you to understand what's going on.
So I guess the question comes for the chief marketing officer all the time is, how does your technology differentiate from other technology out there? And if there is any other, I don't assume there is something in the market like that, but for women, what is the big thing that you try to get across for them to want to engage with something that is using a model, an AI model to train on and everything else?
Yeah, I think that we are now on the first stage of AI in fertility world, and it's quite good for us to have this product right now, because now the AI just coming in this world and actually can change the game. Because before the doctors need to know to to collect somehow this data, and the decision was depends just on doctor. But now we can combine all the data with AI, and we can provide women with more information about her body, about what's going on with the process, and how it can influence her everyday life. Not just when she has a problem, or not just when she wants to be pregnant, but just to know every day what's going on with my body, how it influences in my lifestyle, how it can be, how can it help me, what should I do today, and with it AI can help us with this, and I think that our life is going to be easier and more understandable in the next 10 years.
And what is the feedback you have so far from users in terms of how easy it is to use the product and get the information feedback loop so fast?
In the first stage, it's the first reviews that we have. It's so easy. Is it real? Is it work? Is it not just from your picture from your service? Like, no, yeah, it's quite unbelievable, yeah, for women just to not need to have this morning routine, to do some special procedures, you know, just to, I have Ovul on my working table, and I don't need to go somewhere, you know, to make it. Nobody see it.
Yeah, the sticks. I guess the big question is, do you have any specific also instructions, like don't drink this or don't do that before putting the...
Yeah. So we can, I always say that, so we can test the saliva, but not the coffee or like,
exactly.
Like basically this is the main. So the best is to do the morning routine, just because this is the easiest explanation on how you need to fulfill this test. But in general, if you are not eating or drinking anything till 30 minutes before the test, so you can use it. A very interesting thing here. So we don't need any reviews. It just dries up, saliva dries up, and we make a picture. So basically, how the morning or any routine is now at the user side. So whenever somebody sees the device, the users just open it, take off the previous saliva with specific piece of cloth or basically any other cloth, then put a new one, close it, and then she goes and does her business. Nothing more. So you don't wait any results. You don't need any refills. No need super privacy. Still putting a drop of saliva is now like fine with the society. And that's how we have 1.5 tests per day, which is the average for the users that we are now having, because of the simplicity. Like you just do 2 tests and whenever you see the device.
And there's an app connected to it where the information comes back.
Yes. So the device is on the table or on the nightstand or wherever it's standing. You do the test, and then you go and you have the app notification which tells you what's going on, like what's your result today, do you need to retest it or not. That's how it works.
I think one of the things that we were very excited about with Ovul AI also as a product is that there is research behind it. And one of the big things that we've tried to push is we fund women's health research, but there's a big gap that women don't connect with between thinking research that's not going to happen for 10, 20 years versus showing them products that are out there that maybe there's a back. It's retroactive, right? It was years of research that led to this. Can you tell us about what specific research this came from in terms of the... imaging, yes.
Yes, I will say 2 parts here. So first, this method on the market for like 84 years.
Yes.
And there are so many research without Ovul. We're already done. So you can find you can find like a lot of accuracy data, or how many women were trained or were tested, or like what's going on. Like not even with Ovul. So what we did, we also tested our specific device, and this is something that comes from Siemens Healthineers. So I have a good network, and it was very fast. And now we are on a second trials, I can say. So the first trials we did 1 year ago. We tested 42 women. 21 had a regular cycle and like healthy individuals, and 21 had some fertility issues. And we were testing the whole fertility window with the devices, with the sticks, and with the ultrasound. So you basically all the hormone tracker devices, which sticks or VR, they cannot tell are you ovulating or not. This is still like a science of ovulation. But the ultrasound is something that is like the golden standard, where you see the exact picture that everything is ongoing. And we tested and made the comparisons in between all three methods. And I can say that we had an accuracy in comparison to urine sticks 97.6%. And a lot of it here because of the AI, which helps you to make a decision, do you see the crystals or not. So you are taking out the human error a lot.
Well, it's also because women might not, once they get used to testing, maybe they get better at using the sticks, but this much be my easier. It takes away the pressure of trying to figure it out yourself.
Also from my work experience, we had 55% of all service calls related to the user error, which comes from the lab personnel who are trained, who are already like a doctors or even
that's funny.
PhD. We had 55% of all questions related just to human error.
So this is like having your own Waymo for fertility. Much more efficient and user-friendly. I guess when you try, because there's a huge problem when you talk about fertility awareness. Unless women are trying to go through that fertility journey, it's not something that we are quote-unquote educated about. Sexual education happens like this in high school, is like 1 hour or 2. And then women figure out from maybe their mothers about their period, but then the whole fertility journey, it's kind of a black box. A lot of clinicians as MDs talk about it. How much work is it about obviously trying to pass that barrier between what women understand as their fertility journey and on top of that putting technology in front of them? Do you find that challenging?
It's exactly what we are going to do, and we have this in our roadmap because how it saw that in the fertility and ovulation, it's like our entrance to this market. We can start from this, and it's easy, it's understandable. We can predict ovulation, the day of ovulation, and the women who need it, they understand why and for what. But what we can do now and what we are trying to do now, and we have some studies and research in this way, that we can support women during all her life. From early age, like for young girl to 10 to 12, 13 years with their first period in puberty, because we can see it right now, and it can be not just surprise day, it can be the day that we can predict, and mother and can help their daughter to understand this, to explain this process, and to be ready for this. I know it because I have a daughter. She is 10 right now, and I don't know where it's coming, and it's strange where you should start this talk and how you can prepare for this. And that's what we really want, and that we will do it because we can know it and we can see it with our technology. And after, we can support women during her fertility timeline.
And then the fertility, I think one thing that we were very excited about is it measures estrogen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And estrogen right now about people in longevity, specifically clinicians and women that work in longevity, it's called the longevity hormone. Estrogen is also the first thing that you're going to lose when you enter perimenopause, menopause. Yeah. So it'll be like a very interesting way for women, until menopause, for women to be able to actually see those, not so much about ovulation from having a baby, but knowing you're really entering that process.
That's exactly what we want to do and what we can provide women with this information.
Yeah, and it'll be. Are you planning to do maybe eventually a clinical study based on that and being able to show women when the estrogen decline is you really need to go to your OBGYN and potentially start HRT?
So we already finishing the discussions and the setup of these studies. I just want to be very sure what
you're saying. Yes. Not give too much away,
but we are very excited about that we can.
Yeah, we were thought about that.
See, in our every stage of our studies, it's wow. Every day is wow. Our team, do you know we can do this also? So,
So I can add some more words here. So this is the power of AI and the big data. So the more data we have, the more precise we can be in some part of this, of our idea, what we want to achieve. And we have now very firm belief that we will be able to test estradiol, like estrogen, basically estradiol levels numerically. Because we see the difference between the crystals in the fertile period of each and every user that we are having. So we have once again, so we have like few crystals, this is like one level, like a lot of crystals, this is the other level. And now our second trials is about it. We want to make correlations in between the exact levels of estradiol and the images and the data that we have from Ovul device.
Can you tell everyone here the difference between the estradiol and the estrogen?
So estrogen is like all hormones of estrogens. Yeah. This is like, it can be like 4, which is really known and we are testing it. And estradiol is one of the main ones that is being tested a lot. And we are also planning to test it during our studies.
That's very cool because it means that the R&D is continuous for the product development.
Yeah, so once again, so we just use it. So the more we use it, the more we are excited about what we can see and how things are really happening and why it is so. So all this research that were done before us, they were based on a very small amount of data. And because of no AI and like nobody did thousands and 10,000s of dry saliva photos. There was like 100. And then on 100, they make some decisions, they make some ideas, some justification. But we now have thousands, like even more, like tens of thousands. And we say, this is not like that. So before it was not, it's really not working like it's described in this paper. It's really not so much working in this one. And that's why we are so like, still I think like we are so excited every day. We just say, wow. So this is how it is. So we see this, and now we can use this. So okay, we need trials for that, or like we don't even need trials in some cases when we see that there's some obvious things.
And what is amazing, we don't need to change our device.
Yeah, you can use it.
Yeah, we use just our studies, to improve our AI, and we have just one device, and we don't need to change it.
And what are potential future applications that you're thinking once the models are so, you just, for context, you just launched.
Yes.
So how long has it been? Only this year, right?
Yeah, so 1 year ago, like October 11, I think, or 7th, we registered the company. Yes.
Yeah, but registration and having a price are very different things. So having the product itself was just this year, right?
This one, yeah. So this one is coming from the manufacturing line.
Yeah.
So we already established the manufacturing. We have 4 patents pending. 5th one is going, and I think it will be like, 20 on top of it. We did the registration and listing. So we did a lot of things. Yeah, but really we started the company February 2023. That's the time when we realized that we can make it. We created the first prototype that was sent to the OBGYNs just at the same moment.
We love what the final product ended up being. It's really cute and it feels very... What was the first prototype like?
I can show you pictures. It was not so beautiful, but still an egg shape. It just came to our mind how we can do this, and we were trying different things, but still, as I was on my journey with the third kid, and I can say that we had the third kid. Yeah, so everything happened as we wanted and as we basically planned it with the first devices.
No, I mean, it's a great, as you said, this has some longevity in it in the sense that you can keep using that because it's so modern and easy. Yeah, and you don't have to be changing the product. And in the end, it's the algorithm. The training model is what will become very important in the end.
Yes. And it was very important for us to make this product not like looks like medical device,
Yeah, it doesn't look like
it should be like lifestyle device, like all other device that we have that can help us to understand what's going on.
So speaking of other devices, do you see in the future something like there you're going to be able to connect with other applications, or now people do a lot of optimization and tracking with their look at that. You have the Oura, the Apple Watch, like you're doing the whole gamut. Now that women are talking, they're trying to figure out sensors for cortisol and all of this. You guys have working on the estrogen part. So the big thing is, do you see anything in the future where you're able to sync with some of these wearables, or create your own? I mean, even something further beyond the.
We are already in some kind of partnership establishments with other companies.
You don't have to tell us that.
Yes, the name, but in general, we are able to track estrogen levels. Like now we are able to track spikes. And spikes are coming from different statuses of the body, what's going on. So the first one is a common one when you are in your fertility period and when you are ovulating. But there are some much more when it happens. And there are some other apps already on the market which are testing, like for example PCOS. And we are now trying to understand how can we help each other to improve the methods they are using and to put our ones and then combine the data. Once again, everything is about the data. And so the AI, when we say AI, so we have like two AIs right now. One is the image recognition, which is more or less understandable, and we use it for a very purpose-based approach. And the other one, when we combining the data and then trying to find correlations. And that's the other one. And this one is much more unpredictable, and this can help to improve the lives of many people.
And we can combine our data with data from other devices and see this correlation. Yeah, it's in this way. It's not just about estrogen. It's how estrogen can be combined with other.
Yeah, because polycystic ovary syndrome. It will be interesting to look at how those markers fluctuate for people with the estrogen reading.
I can say, add a little more about the second trial. So we are very sure that we will be able to find the other hormones as well, like at least one of it, that we will be part of our next clinical trials.
That's amazing because our hormones play such a huge role in health. And for women in particular, I mean, men also have hormones, but for women, it really impacts fertility. Obviously, during perimenopause and menopause and the fertility, that's a huge thing with the hormones. And for women that have polycystic ovary syndrome, there's just a lot of that we don't know for them to be able to even treat it. Well, I have many more questions, but I'd like to open it if anybody has any particular questions to already also let the audience know. I'm going to repeat your question to make sure that we get it in the video. Please go ahead.
Okay, so this is all very fascinating and excited about it. What's your price point? And then you mentioned the OBGYNs. Are you also just selling to the fertility clinics and the OBs? Like, what's your business model of getting into market?
So the question is on price point, and the business model, is it going through clinicians, OBGYNs, or direct to consumer?
We started with B2C. So the price is $189 per device and $999 for the subscription for the unlimited testing per month. So we just launched. So we were testing different approaches and understand how many people are using it for how long, and to try to establish the pricing and correlations. But what I can say that price range from $200 to $300 for 1 year unlimited testing. That's what we provide with the device right now, and it makes a lot of sense. Because somebody who's trying to conceive, they already understand how many sticks they use per month and what's the price point for that.
So as usual, it's about $600 per year with other device.
Yeah, if you just use the sticks. So we started with that. For sure, we're trying to find the value for the fertility clinics. And the great value that we see now, and we are trying to understand, is how is it working in the US market and within the US healthcare system. We are able to find the 5 most fertile days during the period. And when there are the IVF procedures, we can basically divide it for two parts. One is the IVF, which is in vitro fertilization, and the other one is IUI, it's inter-uterine insemination. And when IUI is done, it means that doctor need to understand when the ovulation will be done, will be going on precisely. And to understand that, they need to go with the ultrasound. But if you just miss it 2 days before, so you need to be in a very specific point. You would like to sit at the doctor and having this diagnostics. But if you miss this for any if you have a regular cycle or any other reasons, so then you need to wait for other cycle and then the other cycle. But the time is going on. So our idea that if you use the Ovul device at home, we see this very early sign of your fertile window, and we can say that in next 3 to 5 days. Probably you have the ovulation. You need to go to the ultrasound. We just don't changing the idea of testing. We want to help you to be at the point when you need to be and do the ultrasound.
And know it before, not just
not just today when you just have a urine stick and you see this. Now I need to jump.
So improve the efficacy rates.
Yes.
So I did IUI, I did IVF, I did all that jazz. So I know all the things. My question is, when you do IUI, you have to, at least in my experience, when you work with a clinic, you have to go into the ultrasounds, like constantly starting, this and then blah, blah, blah. Would you then work with those clinics to then be able to limit the amount of ultrasounds that you would have to go into? Is that like part of your business model? Because you had just mentioned like, when you see this, you go to the ultrasound. But the way you pay, they're just not going to let you do that.
Yeah, so that's what we are trying to figure out.
Okay.
Basically, we have working models in Poland and in Spain, which helps those clinics to do their job and to be a part of their patient journey they are having. But for US, this is something we are now heading to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course it's so different, all different countries.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's so regulated and so intense here comparative to outside.
Yeah, so our idea, we want to bring value to each and every part of this journey. That's how it is. Yeah.
It's actually more regulated abroad. What plays a big role here is insurance.
Yes.
Got it.
So to be honest with you, the regulation is more stringent in Europe. What plays a big role in the US is insurance. And I think the only big play here for insurance is that if you do something like this, it increases efficacy rates. So the cost goes down. You don't have to do as many ultrasounds. So that, that would be probably the play. And it's very different in every state. And that's why it's so tricky. And fertility clinics is actually quote unquote not a regulated business. They're private clinics and there's things that you have to follow, but it's not the same as going into a hospital because it's private. All of it is paid for. All of it is paid for in healthcare, but there are different codes when it's IVF that you pay out of pocket versus when the insurance covers it.
No, thank you for clarifying.
But I think you're right. It would be like a very ideal to play with to be collaborating with the clinics.
Yeah, so that's a part of our seed round. So that's why we are started the seed round. We need to do a lot of things. We already did a lot, and the more to come. So this is like one of the things. Once again, so we want to help, and we want to add something on top of already existing things that are ongoing. We don't want to change it, or like if it helps, we will be more than happy to do that. Yeah.
There's a lot of products that have they're direct-to-consumer products, but it's so important that they exist within a medical system because it makes a big difference. Doctors usually don't like taking readings from products that they don't know, right?
Yes.
And they'll tell you, no, here are your strips. This is what I know. So collaborating with them and forging that education part of things for them to get, this is going to simplify my life is such an important thing.
Yeah, we already did the same as we did in Ukraine when we sent the first prototypes to the OBGYNs. So we sent, I think, this August. So for only a few months it's being tested here in US, in San Francisco, in Miami, and I think in LA, Los Angeles. So we have like about 4 different clinics and doctors which are using it on daily basis for their patient, for their own things, how they see this. So I think somewhere in like next 3 to 4 months we will gather results from them. And what's good about this, once again, we are very sure what we are gathering because we done created the method, like that saliva dries up and creates the pattern. So this is like already known. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I had one. We were chatting earlier. I think for me, and as we talk about other countries, the data piece and how that's stored, what can be done with it. We're in a time where unfortunately there's a lot of things that are being rolled back in terms of women's health or being scrutinized, and I just wonder, like, what happens if we get to a place where we are told what we can and cannot do at all times with our bodies, and if there's data behind when I was maybe had conceiving and if I was considering an abortion or not, or what could stop the government or a state to summon data to prove that I did something that I wasn't supposed to based on what maybe new laws are passed, or like the partnerships that you maybe go into, what happens to that data, because if we're using it frequently and we're utilizing it to track more than just ovulation, we're looking at menopause, we're looking at when are we starting our period, I just worry about the data aspect in general.
So we have a privacy policy when you can find out what's going on with your data, how we using it, and how can you delete it if you want it. Everything is there. So same as we going into partnership. So now it's a big part to understand what they are doing, what's their terms and conditions, and are we accepting it or not. So this is very big question for us, for sure. I can say from the security stuff, so we use now the Google service for everything. So we are just on the highest level of protection of your personal data, and we will be doing it from, we did it from day one, when we were not even using we had no app at that moment. We had a Telegram bot, and it was already through the Google servers and the applications. And this is again coming from Siemens Healthineers. So we already know what's the HIPAA compliant, or what's kind of actions you need to take, why you need to protect your personal data, how you do this, and we're doing it like this. So the other part of your question, so you can always understand what's going on with your data. The answer now, so we use it for evaluating our models. So that's what we do now. We would be changed, or we would be somehow describe more, or we will change it. So you will see it in a privacy policy always. And once again, we are totally compliant with everything that is on the market. Look, your question is very hard for us as a first startup. So we cannot say what government can change and how the general policies will be changed. So we are a part of existing ones. We are fulfilling all obligations. And I know your questions from what we faced. And as all, we want to be always helping, not doing anything for spreading this data or something like that.
Estrogen right now, compared to tracking your period data, isn't that the full picture though? Because what you're thinking of is the app that was selling data, and they still got right now $100 million to continue to build the app. And they had in their privacy notice that they could sell the data, and everybody knew they were selling the data. And yet they get funded and women are still using it. So, and that's for period tracking, which does tell the government if they want when a person is ovulating or not. This is a little bit different when you're just tracking estrogen. But I totally see it, and I think that unfortunately that we think that the small players, they need to carry the big. I think the bigger question we ask is, why is a company that willingly sold data still getting hundreds of millions of dollars in funding and still in the market, even though when there are class action lawsuits? And it's such an important question, but it's not something that you can, we can ask the smaller players to answer, because that's an indictment of us as a society and how we do business. It's crazy because they're getting the funding because they have so many users. And that's in the name of it. It really sucks, because it does give the government a whole picture of address, person. And that's when the whole thing was reversed was it last year or 2 years ago already? I can keep track. I feel like
2 years ago.
2 years ago. It's scary because women, it feels like in the US, do not technically own their bodies, when the government can still tell you what you're allowed or you're not allowed to do. And it is really bad that data now in the future is going to play a role on this, for sure. You're absolutely right. I think the big thing that we all have to do is independently, when really do take that time to read those privacy notices, do the research on the companies, because the companies is very obvious, the ones that have class action lawsuits and the market out there of people that say you sold my data. And the big, 23andMe is a big example right now, which I'm surprised. They must have had such a good privacy or data thing that I'm surprised there's not more class action lawsuits, because they didn't have data breaches. And right now they're in limbo, where they don't know what all that genetic data, we don't know if it's going to be sold off, or it's insane. It is a really good question, because now that we start all this tracking and monitoring, and then you get your information for ovulation, you get your information for your DNA, for cancer, all of these things. The sleeping patterns, when you think of the future, insurance. Oh, because you know that I have more likelihood of having this kind of cancer, are you gonna like put up my insurance rate? So very important question. And I think the big thing is now, advocating with companies that are starting their journey to have very good protection laws, not sell data, and protect women, ourselves. Nobody's going to, we have to read those private policies. It's like the best thing you can do now in this day and age. Right? It's a big question.
Yeah, just like, I think on the round table we will be more telling you more information when we just.
Well, setting the ground is super important.
Sure. That's
and
always.
For women, now it's this part of their data, what is it being used for? It's like super crucial, and for everyone. But for us, it has to do obviously with, now if I decide not to have a baby, or if something happens, they're gonna know, and it's who's gonna know is the big question. Not they're gonna know, but who's gonna know?
Who's gonna know, and what will they do?
Yeah.
And I personally am really interested in these types of products, but I haven't actually utilized any of them or signed up because I am concerned about the data and what happens to it beyond my conversation with my doctor. But I do find it fascinating. I just am teetering on how confident I am on the direction we're going, just in terms of data and technology.
Yeah, it's a big question with everything. With everything that advances, you're always on this dynamic between this is really cool, but it might not end up being cool. We're in San Francisco, way more is like a cool thing here. And then there's always the question of, what if this? What if that? I guess at some point people individually decide what the benefits, what awaits the benefit versus the potential downside of things. And there's a very cool account that follows things that people didn't want to do in the past. And when the car came out, there was this whole thing about how when the buggy cart came out versus just the horse, it was how the buggy cart was going to kill you, right?
Yeah.
So exactly. Progress has always
Funny
been
stories for us right now.
There's always a risk aversion to the progress, and we are in that area where we're like really advancing fast, but also have to be super mindful of how to protect users and people in general. Speaking of data, any more questions? I guess we can finish it with when you have when the models become very, very strong, what are potential other use cases beyond just with the actual device that you think you could develop?
We want to be a lifestyle companion.
Yeah.
That's where we head into. Like this basically changed with the reviews of the users, with the continuous feedback from the users, with the Kate's ideas and how everything is going. So we see the very high, like a huge potential within the technology and within the next stages what we can achieve. And once again, because of the simplicity, this is so simple to use, like 5 seconds, and we got like a result of your hormonal body thinks that now is only about the estrogen, but later on about the other hormones. And we gather in this data. Even now, so the more you use the device, the more precise we can be about your personal journey, about your health. Not about anybody else's, but about your exact levels and why is it so. So we see that this can be a perfect lifestyle companion for each and every, I think, like women we start. But also we're testing our co-founders on daily basis, And I will very briefly. So estrogens for the men is not something that should be at all.
Testosterone one, I guess.
We have only one hormone. It's just like rise throughout the day with the same levels, basically. Like not too much to test. But we see some at some points we see some signs of the estrogen as well in the men. So we don't really know how far we can go with it, but we see that we can help each and every woman throughout her life journey. that's what we do.
And our the main goal is to provide women with like everyday tips, real life everyday tips. Like today you have to drink more water, and today you haven't to do it because your estrogen level, because your period is now in this point, and that's mean that you should have a rest today, or be more active, or plan your, I don't know, and make your plans for this period of time, because it's like your estrogen is high. It means that you can be more social, more active, more like it's not just about fertility. It's about us and our everyday lifestyle that we are trying to do right now, and we will do it.
Well, for perimenopause and menopause, it'll be very helpful because there's nothing right now that helps women with that. It's kind of like you just start getting the symptoms and you're starting to think maybe it's that time, but there's no there's no actual test or anything. So it'll be cool to start seeing that drop of in real time, because then okay, it's time to start figuring things out.
This is on our roadmap for sure, but seen with perimenopause, we cannot do the testing throughout one cycle or through 2 cycles. We need like years of it, and again, so we were on a pre-seed, so now we are seed, so this is something we are not able to accomplish at all. But we see this like not a huge potential, like from market perspective, yes, but from the idea how to use our device as well. So just imagine the situation. We see the crystallization during the whole year of your testing, and then we see that the density or the angles or something is being changed. So now you had like I will show you the pictures later on. So you had like a perfect picture with a fractal, which is made and very beautiful, and then it's being like diversified. It's like deleted. Now you don't have the connections. We see that the level of your estrogens is going down. And during the life journey, so the only estrogen is not enough to understand if you are entering the perimenopause or not. So there is a specific hormone relation that need to be fulfilled, which is like 0.088. And we are now working on that as well, just to understand, can we track those relations or not? Probably yes, the answer is yes. And why is it so? So basically we can see that 1 year ago, you had very strong levels. You had the ovulation, which was like done, and fertile period was 5 days. But like in 2 years, you have like 3 days fertile period. The estrogen is not rising so high as it was 2 years ago. So maybe this can be a sign of like some kind of hormonal changes, which are related to like different situations. So you need to go to the lab and test. So the main problem with the perimenopause, there are testing already existing in the lab, so you can go.
Oh yeah, but don't.
Yeah, but I mean,
we've done in conferences those tests that they sell you is like test for menopause. Don't.
No, I mean, I would say the real diagnostics.
Oh, real? Yeah, no. I mean, there's some in the UK at Boots. There's like these menopause tests, and they don't say anything because your AMA like. It can be here one day, it can be there. It doesn't mean anything, yeah.
The main thing, you need to do it on time. So you need to know the entry point. When you know it, so 9 from my 10 known women, which are like 45, 55, and my mother as well. So they had different surgical conditions related to the perimenopause. And the main problem was they knew about menopause when they already entered, and they like 5-6 years before, or everything was ongoing. And what we can do is Ovul, we can try to find the entry point, and then you go to your doctor, and doctor says you what to do, because in general they have ideas how to help.
Yeah, just for context, menopause is only 1 year after your period ends. But women can be in perimenopause, which is before menopause, for like between 2 years to maybe even a decade. So it's insane.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the technology goes there. And thank you again for being here with us at the ADLabs pop-up. And hopefully we'll be here in a couple of years and you'll be with the product already testing for perimenopause. No, I know it's a longitudinal thing that we have to do many years of tracking.
2 years is fine. Yeah.
2 years of tracking, so it was perfect timing. So today we all actually have somebody that will get us one of the swag bags, and we're also giving away online. Margarita. Oh, Margarita wins the swag bag today. With the book and all the products from the ADLabs pop-up. We'll take a photo after with the photographer. And thank you so much to our speakers also. for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.
And thank you again, everybody, for being here. They're still going to answer some more questions here. Please test the product. I think it should be charged. And also check out all the products around here, over there. You have to go to the different stations. Don't forget to take away your swag bag and let everybody know we have still one more event next week as a cocktail. And then hopefully we'll be coming back next year, or we'll be taking this to the other side of the world, to London. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.